Hey guys, so I am very sorry that I have to be out for your first day of Lit Circles. As you can probably hear, I am not doing so well. So we're going to go ahead and march on as if I was in class. I've worked hard to make sure that all the things that I would have explained to you guys in class are being explained here. Okay. So the expectation is that you will be working for the entire period in your Lit Circle groups. Okay. There should not be anybody who is on their phone or is not participating in the group discussion. That would be the exact same expectation if I was in class. So please make sure that you are using your time to discuss your books. Okay. The reason I'm doing a screencastify to explain instructions to you guys is because I want to make sure that it's clear what you are doing as you are meeting with your group. The first thing that you guys should start with is discussing your double entry journals. Okay, so that's what this page is. Everybody should have come with the two sections filled in here for part one. Okay, you would have pulled two passages from the first part of your book and quoted them directly here. You would have responded in these two boxes here. Okay, and then that would have been it for you and your paper. What you're doing in your lit circle is exchanging your paper with the person sitting next to you, the person sitting across from you, whoever. Okay. Your paper should make it to two different peers. Okay. What they're doing is responding here to your response. All right. So essentially, we're taking the discussion part of the novel and focusing it in like writing form here. Okay. So even though you guys are going to be discussing the book after you go through each other's double entry journals, this is just a way for us to continue practicing our writing, continue practicing our peer response in a more focused and formal way, because we know that we tend to be informal with, how we speak to each other. So whoever is responding to, your two entries here, it should be one person that's responding in this box and then a different person in your group that's responding here. Okay. So that's it as far as your double entry journal. This should take about 30 minutes for you guys to fully be reading each other's responses, and then taking the time to write out a peer response and then talking about them. Remember that whatever passages you guys have pulled, especially if more than one person in your group pulled the same passage, that's a good place for you to be trying to do a close read. Okay. And that is, of course, the point of, or one of the points about why we're doing the lit circles in the first place. As for your roll sheets, okay, so with really the last hour of your lit circles, this is where you'll be discussing the part of the book that you guys read and letting each person and their role kind of have a section of that time to lead the discussion. Okay. So every group should at least have a discussion leader, a diction detective, a bridge builder, and a reporter. Okay. And then my groups with 5, which many of the groups in this class do have 5, you would have an investigator as well. So you guys figure out how you want to start. In my head, it makes sense to start with the investigator because they're the one who came up with background information about the book. If your group doesn't have an investigator, then maybe you choose to start with one of these other roles. Okay. You guys decide what is best. As long as you're discussing your book, and trying to make everything come to light. The thought-provoking, the interesting, the confusing, all of those pieces of this first part of your book should be kind of coming out in the discussion. Make sure that you also decide who is going to take over that role for your next meeting. So remember that everybody is switching roles for the second lit circle. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that when I am back in class. Okay. But it is something that you can discuss today and make sure everybody knows what pages they're supposed to read for part 2. The final thing that you guys are doing is up here. I'm starting to leave your instructions, so let me get rid of that. The final thing that you guys are doing won't be posted actually until tomorrow, but I have your like discussion boards put up here for each of the different groups. So depending on what book you're reading, you're only getting the discussion question for your group's book, okay? And they're all kind of different. So I need some kind of record of who was in class and who participated, and that's the role that this is serving. Okay, so really what that means for you guys, there's no way for me to verify, of course, tomorrow who came with their roll sheet completed and who came with their double entry completed. So if you just happen to come unprepared to the first lit circle and you're working on your assignments like in class, even though you're not supposed to do that, I don't know what else to say other than getting away with it for today because I am not there. But the way that I will be awarding you points for your participation class today is through this discussion board. Okay. So whenever I am back, I will check your assignments to see who had theirs done. And you'll be getting points the normal way through that. But for your class, you can kind of consider these extra credit points almost. Okay. If you don't do them, it will go in the grade book as a 0. But if you do these discussion board questions, then, that will just be an extra grade for you. It will be helpful to you. It's also a way for you to make sure that I am seeing that you've participated in class today. You came, you were prepared, you are discussing things with your group. Okay. These questions that I've put for each one of the books are the same kinds of questions that I was working with my third hour on today as I traveled around to their groups. Okay. So again, I'm trying very hard to make sure that class is operating even without me there in the same way that it would if I was there. All right. So please don't disappoint me. Make sure that your behavior is good for the sub. You're working through the hour. I don't want us to fall behind in our lit circles. That will mean less time for you guys in your argumentative papers that you're gearing up for writing. So just make me proud, make yourselves proud, do what you're supposed to do, and we'll all be on a good page when I return. Okay, email me with any questions, but you guys will be fine. And I hope that your conversations about your books are fruitful.